Thank you so much for joining us on Blitz Business. It's a pleasure to have you.
Hello, Ashish. Happy to be here.
Let's get started. So, Pankaj, tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Well, little bit. So, how does one define oneself? I mean, professionally, I'm a insurance person. Functionally, if you will look at it, the industry that I've worked in is insurance. If you look at, from if you take a slight character type view, I'm more of a marketeer, right? Marketeer in the sense, not like in the sense of ads and all. Marketeer in the classical sense, where marketeer's job is not to advertise, but to make sales redundant. The product should fit so well. You should know your customer so well that you don't have to sell, right? So that is what I define myself in that departmental sort of way. Education wise, I'm an engineer, MBA, which everyone is in India. I think at least in our generation, engineer you did engineering to figure out what you want to do really next in life. So yeah, and currently I'm CEO of CarePal Secure, which is India's first crowdfunding based insurance distribution model. You see, insurance is one of the biggest industries in the world. And there are many, many ways in which insurance products reach you. They can reach you through your neighborhood agent. They can reach you through your bank. They can reach you through fintechs like Policy Bazaar. Yeah. And all of those models are good. All of them have contributed to expansion of this market. However, one basic problem from which all of these models suffer is that they have to say get into a dialogue with you. They have to paint a picture that 20 years later or 10 years later something might happen, and therefore you should, protect yourselves. That is the common theme. Now, where our model is different is that we our roots lie in India's biggest crowdfunding platform, Impact Guru, right, which is a group company where we help people who need to raise funds in India. By and large, I mean, sure, there are crowdfunding campaigns for other causes also, but by and large in India, most of crowdfunding happens around health related issues, right? And when someone someone's child, wife, husband, parents, etc., are suffering from some ailment which requires very heavy expenses. So we help people crowdfund from not only their immediate families would help you in any case, right? But there is a wider digital community. We are friends who are spread across the world, across India, your community, wider, network, how to reach them and how to help the campaigner crowdfund as much as he requires. Now, in that process, what happens is that for every one person who's crowdfunding, there are at least 200 who will donate to him uh, at various levels. Say someone might donate only $1,000, someone might donate 1 lakh. That's a function of their uh, relationship as well as their ability to capacity to pay. But each of these individuals who is donating right now is face to face with the scenario where they are seeing for themselves that if if a proper health insurance coverage, if a proper mechanism to pay for expenses, hospitalization and other expenses is not available, it can get very, very tough.
So,
And this is where our focus is that instead of very long sales campaigns, very pushy sales campaign, our model is such that we are getting influx of people who are seeing firsthand
so
the impact of.
one quick question, Pankaj. I didn't understand. So, you guys are helping crowdfund for a treatment or for insure? It's not clear to me. Like,
Crowdfund for a treatment. If a person,
so what's the
hello,
insurance angle then?
no. So the thing is that say suppose there is someone who's crowdfunding for his wife's cancer treatment,
Sure.
right? Say he requires 25 lakh rupees. Now he comes to us and we help him organize that campaign, how to utilize his social media, how to utilize his employers' various schemes, etc. So that is one part of the job which Impact Guru, the crowdfunding platform, does. Now, where we come in is that for this campaigner, there will be hundreds of people who will donate to him. So, say, suppose there is an alumni of yours from your college, someone who's not been in touch for maybe 10 years with you, except the common WhatsApp group. Now, when you see that his wife is in need of some assistance, and say you donate 5,000 rupees. Now, the fact that Ashish has donated to this person makes Ashish come face to face with the reality that this is something that could happen to his family also, right? As a donor.
Okay, so let me simplify. I think it's getting a little confusing. We in one line. So you are a crowdfunding platform for healthcare treatment. Is that am I putting it correctly?
Impact Guru is the crowdfunding platform. CarePal Secure, the company that I lead, is an insurance distributor to those donors. We engage with those donors.
Okay, so
Yeah.
okay, let me simplify. So someone raises some money for a healthcare problem, XYZ problem. They raise money. You guys provide insurance to the person who is raising money afterwards. Like still in one line, if you can just simplify what you are doing, because I'm I'm missing some gaps.
We help the donors, people who are donating for certain person.
Provide insurance.
We offer them insurance, good insurance, and clean advice that look, you are donating for this person, and thank you so much for that. But you should also protect yourself.
Okay, understood. 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 That's the entire thing. Understood. Understood. Let's take a pause before I want to jump into other aspect you mentioned about being an MBA engineer. So, you think Pankaj it's still worth it to do an MBA?
You see, it's a like so many questions, it doesn't have a yes or no answer.
You can
I mean, it's not mathematics, right? There is a lot of criticism of MBA, right? In the sense that a lot of what is taught is not relevant to work X and is perhaps a bit dated. But fact is that MBA grads are getting good jobs still. Here is how I would put it, that given the fact that in Indian context, young adults are largely shielded from realities of life. Most of them, before they have gone to an engineering college or whatever, a hostel, most of them wouldn't even be making up their beds in the morning, right?
True.
The 2 years that you spend in an MBA program, I would like to think of those as finishing schools for professionals. When I look back at my own career, so I passed out from IIT Delhi in 2004, and MBA was a certainty for getting into elite jobs. That might not exist today, but it still is a great finishing school for you for a young adult.
So even if it is like a top tier one makes sense, but tier two, tier three, not so. Because again, if you are saying in terms of finishing school, then if it's the best, it makes more sense. Otherwise, it doesn't.
Uh, I mean, it depends on what we are calling tier two or tier three. I would say yes. I mean, in if you can make it to top, let me put it as top 50 schools. I mean, because see, it's not as distributed, it's not as concentrated as it was like say 20, 30 years back. Talent is across universities now. So I would say yes. If you can make it to top 50 schools, it is still worth it to consider. I mean, you can always say that I can build a business of my own, but formal education, building a network, knowing even very basic things, like how to prepare a cash flow statement or how to define a marketing framework for your industry. These things count for a lot eventually. So I wouldn't write it off, but yeah, sure. No point. I mean, gully nukkad type MBAs, which we have, maybe you could skip it. That's how I look at it.
So, what made you jump from corporate? I was seeing your LinkedIn. You have been in through and through in corporate and insurance, and then jump into the startup.
Yeah. So traditional Indian life cycle, I guess. I mean, you start in a corporate. I mean, that is what you've been preparing for. I'm talking 2004, right? I mean, what is what is the best thing that you can do for yourselves? Get into a good college and then get into a good company, right? And then you build your life, you gain experience. And whether it was in Max or Bajaj or Standard Chartered, I'm grateful. These are companies which helped me grow. They've provided a modicum of financial stability and security also. But after a certain while, once you're settled in life, once you've achieved your, or at least partly achieved your professional goals, there is this urge that could things be a bit better? Roughly, I think with a lot of professionals, I'm seeing around 15-year career mark when they have say whatever financial goals, one or two flats, one or two big gadi, some amount of savings, etc. Once that is done, a lot of them begin to they are experienced enough to know what the industry is lacking and whether their own viewpoint is likely to carry in the industry.
Mm.
Is it in the industry mainstream? If it is in the industry mainstream, they tend to stick around. If not, then people like me will then move out and try something else. So, for example, I believe that while insurance is a force for good, and all the insurance distribution models that we discuss, agency, banking, etc., all of them are good. They are doing a good job. But for insurance to truly make a dent in India, we need to find new type of products, new type of distribution models. One of the reasons I've held for a long time that health insurance in India is not taking off at the rate that it should is that health insurance protects a person from catastrophic health expenses, hospitalization expenses, right? And it's a logical product to buy. But the problem is that it is not part of my lived reality.
Mm.
My lived reality is my GP consultation, my medicines, my CT scan, right? And in that, a hospitalization based framework, which we have in India, that's of practically no use.
So,
And therefore, while in my mind, I mean, today, for all the effort that industry has done, you will not find anyone seriously saying that they don't need health insurance. Why even government of India? I mean, society's mirror is what politicians are promising you, right? Would you agree?
yeah.
Politicians read the society best.
Oh yes.
I mean, whatever you might think of them and, whichever political party you support, they read the society. And when you see so much emphasis from all political parties on health coverage, right? Perhaps it is just the only thing that political parties agree on. Everyone, that health coverage has to be done. Someone is promising 5 lakh, another is promising 25 lakh. Let's not go into the merits of it. The fact is that society is turning towards health insurance. But at end of the day, when you are purchasing, I mean, you should tell me your experience that you've bought it, but has it been of use to you in last 5 years?
No, not.
Not really, right? I mean, you're paying premium. Your logical mind knows that, okay, fine. I mean, you know, you don't say that the lock on my door is useless because no thief has attempted to break in, right? So that's it.
So,
But to truly get into the mind space and heart space of Indian consumer, health insurance has to do more. And that more is what I wanted to do. I wanted to build a full stack health service instead of only hospitalization based protection cover. Now that would not have had been possible in industry, and thus the startup move. I think a long answer to a rather short question.
but then Pankaj, this sort of brings me to this question, which You mentioned like after 15 years, everybody feels, they have the understanding, know how to start something. But then if you open your Insta, you see people like IIT Delhi Baba or something who have left the track completely. It's flooded with the, I don't know, he's IIT Delhi or Bombay, I forgot, but IIT something. And, there is this sense of people have gone completely off from corporate world also.
Yeah, and no, but I say why not? See, it's a sign of a society which is moving up the Maslow's hierarchy, so to speak. I mean, if you look at 60s, 70s, the prime thing was you should have enough to eat. Okay. As a society, of course, there will be some rich people, some very poor, but generally the theme is have enough to eat. And, as we move towards, say, when I was graduating, right, it was have enough to eat and then have something in the bank. Maybe with increasing prosperity level and increasing acceptance of non-conventional career choices. So, for example, when I think even when you would have had graduated, so taking an year off from the thing would be what will the college say? You won't get admission into a good college, right? I think now with increasing prosperity, people are exploring their own thoughts, their own personalities, and that is something I think which is good. Some of will, you know, actually when you think about it, na Ashish, these are the kind of people who will become entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are people who can break out from the crowd, right?
Unconventional.
Unconventional. Look at Steve Jobs, for example. I mean, he says that most of his Apple thought processes were result of his Neem Karoli Baba, whatever interaction he had, or I mean, his books and all, and the times that he spent learning calligraphy instead of coding. So I think it's something which is good if people are not necessarily binding themselves to a defined career path. I think it is good.
What is that?
Why not?
What is that then, Pankaj? Then the important question comes: when does someone feel in corporate they're financially stable? What is that number they should have in the account to be like, "Abhi ye bahut like this is financially we can do nothing or whatever." Like, is
पता नहीं यार.
is there?
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something. This is something I read in one of the books. So, there was a big author. Huh? Uh, he goes to a billionaire's party, and this is a real life incident. Na? So the billionaire is a hedge fund manager. I think the author was the one who wrote Catch 22. Okay, his mind's his name slips my mind. So one of his friends says that do you know that this hedge fund guy, you know, he makes in a day what your entire life you have not made through your book sales. So the author says yes, but I have something that he will never have. Says what? He says enough.
That is true. That is true. That's a good one.
So it's very difficult individually to say. I mean, it's a function of your background. Let's face it. I mean, if your parents are, if you're coming from a very poor village in some, in as opposed to same guy in your company whose father is a bureaucrat or a businessman, your relationship with money is fundamentally different. Now, I'm not necessarily saying the guy from poorer background is likely to be less adventurous. It could be the other way also. He could very well say, कि ठीक है यार, I have saved 20 lakh. This is what my father would have had made in 10 years.
Hmm.
And therefore, I'm going to take a risk.
That's true. That's true.
It cuts both ways. So essentially, it is your relationship with money. But for me, I think anecdotally, and I can't say this for a fact, anecdotally, I think for people my generation, that point comes when they build, when whatever flats, etc., gadi, whatever EMIs are gone, their bank balance roughly is 2 times of their annual income. At that point in time, there is a certain, and perhaps it is also related to that. If you will see a lot of people take up new hobbies, marathon running in their late teens, early 40s. I don't know if you've observed that.
Yes, yes.
It is so. I personally think that when you're getting into your late 30s, early 40s, you begin to look for new set of challenges.
Yeah.
Some people find that challenge in running a marathon. Some people find it in learning new skills like guitar or something.
The midlife
Some
crisis.
people find it in yeah, in startups. You're looking to redefine yourselves, you know.
That's what they call midlife crisis.
Perhaps yes, and that yeah, perhaps because you see, once you're focused on your challenges, immediate challenges, I have got to,
Do this.
I got to marry,
Yeah,
I got to, your challenges are finishing, and now what do? You then instead of society challenges given to you by society, right? You define your own challenges.
that's true.
So perhaps
That's a good one.
that is the trigger.
I agree. I agree. Then awesome. Then moving on to now insurance. Thoda insurance पे थोड़ा segment as an insurance पे let's talk about. Okay, there are so many companies in insurance. Distribution,
Yes,
as you mentioned, I think distribution में ही है mostly तो. I think the pure
true, true, true.
majority, even if you look at. So
Yeah,
why to okay, this little hard question. Why to start another? It's a different take what you're trying to do within the insurance, within the distribution, targeting a different way. It's a new take on the business in terms of distribute. Aren't there enough players yet? Like what is that then opportunity, I mean, in this insurance space, not just for you, even people listening and they want to start something within this space, like from that perspective.
huge, huge. So let me put it this way. While you're right that there are a lot of there are say some 50, 60 insurance companies, health, life, general, all put together. These are the core insurance companies, the ones who underwrite the risk. Then there are lakhs of agents. Lakhs matlab not 2, 3 lakhs. We are talking say 25, 30 lakh. Thousands upon thousands of bank branches and so many NBFCs. And then there are so many and yet health expenses continue to be the leading cause of financial catastrophe for segment, tier SEC class A and class B families. Now, yeah, sorry, you were saying something.
Then it doesn't mean the problem is in the distribution. Maybe the underlying problem maybe altogether be completely different. They don't have money.
True, true, true. No, not really. I'll tell you. Let this is a survey that
Yes.
I keep doing with everyone.
Okay.
So one of the questions that I ask a lot of people is that okay, what phone do you use?
So you're asking me?
Yeah, let's play at it. What phone do you use?
iPhone
Yeah, iPhone. How much did you buy it for?
in lakhs.
Yeah, maybe 1.25 something, 1 lakh. Chalo, 1 lakh मान लेते हैं. Right. Now, the thing is that then I ask them that what is their health insurance coverage? Not the employer provided one, their own health insurance coverage. Typically, the answer ranges from 5 lakh to 15 lakh, right? Now, the premium also typically will range from, I mean, depending on if the guy, a young guy like you versus, say, someone with a family like me,
Will change.
premium will range from 10 to 35,000.
True.
Now you see where I'm going, right? So the thing is that at 10, 15 lakh rupees, everyone knows that you get into a hospital for 6 or 7 days. 15 lakh will evaporate within first three.
Hmm.
When you look at the cost of hospitalization, I'm not talking about the general flu, वो सब अलग है, उसे रहने दो आप,
That's true.
है ना? Now, all of these are ऐसा नहीं है that no anyone is contesting this. I think the problem lies, and it's not a problem of people don't have money. As I just said, of the people, by the way, this count for me is almost 400 and running now. Out of 450 people that I have asked this question in last 3 years, how many people's premiums are higher than their mobile phone? Take a shot.
10%, 5%.
No, yeah, 10% would be 45. It is actually 17.
Okay.
And and out of those 17, 15 are because they have a health, they have the floater cover for family.
Uh-huh. Makes
me, my wife, children.
true, true.
Now, uh, so as of now, I don't think it's a question of money. It's a question of industry not being able to communicate its value prop in a way that the customer should feel motivated enough to buy. So, for example, I mean, the other way to flip it, Ashish, is that whether one accepts it or not, a lot of mobile and all, I mean, accessories are a signaling device. You don't see anyone brag that, अच्छा मैंने ना सबसे सस्ता phone ले लिया. I have bought the cheapest phone available. Because phones have become, they're an extension of who I am, how I express myself in the world. But insurance is so commoditized, right? That if at all it gets discussed, first, so it doesn't get discussed at all. But if it does get discussed at all, it is like, acha, you bought 20 lakh rupee cover for how much? You bought it for 45. My agent got it for me for 33,000. So the cheaper so that's not customer's fault. That is the fault of the industry.
Mm.
That the way they are positioning their product is that the cheapest. So by the way, just taking this example, say 20 lakh cover, 45,000 versus 33,000. Now which one is better? Normally people will say 33,000 is better. Now what if I told you that the one which costs 45,000 does not have any waiting periods? Now which one is better?
Sure.
The thing is that the tragedy of insurance, so to say, is that it's a trust-based product. At end of the day, insurance is a trust that you have paid me X amount. Now, if something were to happen to you, I will come and help you out,
True.
pay the bills.
Yeah.
It's a trust product, right? The trust product has been beaten down into becoming a commodity. When you go to Policy Bazaar, for example, what is Policy Bazaar when you no disrespect meant, it's a great company, great achievement by Yatish Dahiya and his boys. But at end of the day, Policy Bazaar is a comparator.
Yeah.
That Ashish wants to buy insurance
Yeah.
for his car,
Yeah.
say IDV of 10 lakh, and I will give him a table, side by side लगा दूंगा, Royal Sundaram 5,000, ICICI Lombard 4,800, so on so forth, and the cheapest that Ashish wants to buy, he can buy. There is hardly anything about, no one buys looking at insurance. I will buy the best insurance. I will buy the insurance whose claim settlement time is the lowest, whose customer service ratings are the highest, whose IRDA penalties are the lowest, right? Factor ही नहीं है. और वो that is not a fault. That fault does not lie with the customer. That fault lies with the industry and the distributors like us who have commoditized. We are not reinventing ourselves. So yeah, that ways. And yes, before we move on to next question, if your health insurance premium that you pay for security of yourselves and your family is less than what you have paid for your mobile, you should relook. You have I mean, for everyone who's watching this, you have the money. It is only a question of priority. Okay. So, and if possible, buy from us. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think it's an interesting take and interesting segment to be in. I think running little short on time, Pankaj. So to wrap it up, one last final question. So moving ahead, is there any sort of okay? Let me ask you a different one. If you have been doing this for a while now, so if you were to go back in time and do things differently, any single thing or two things you want to have done differently while building your company?
That's a tough one. When if I were to do something differently, I think I would pay much more attention to technology stack. The way things are shaping now, I think the future will belong to not necessarily the people who give the most cost-effective solution in terms of rupees. It will be the ones who give the fastest value. How soon can you react
That is. Mhm.
to the customer demand? So I think and that can be done either by hiring a lot of people or can be done by having a great technology stack. And yeah, I think that's a learning. Be very proactive about technology as an entrepreneur.
That's true. Have to embrace technology. Well, awesome. Thanks a ton, Pankaj, for your time. It was such a pleasure to have you, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.